Hi there, this is Jonathan from Diatech. I just wanted to make you a quick video around Autodesk Forma. So some of you may be familiar with it. It was previously known as SpaceMaker, but there's been, I suppose, some significant updates since it was initially released well over a year ago. So it's been rebranded as Autodesk Forma. But one of the features I want to show you, I'm gonna skip setting up a project, all that stuff. But what I want to get straight to is the floor plans. Which has been added in kind of the newer version of Autodesk Forma. So effectively what that means is, assuming you've generated your geometry and your volumes and your massing inside Forma using, maybe the basic building tool, for example, if you want to start adding then floor plans to that. So let's take this building block, for example. Just going to select that. And if I see floor plan down here, so if I click on that, open up, it gives me a blank floor plan. But what I can actually do is I can start to divide up this floor plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my draw lines. I'm going to draw a corridor of, say, 2 meters. Each of these snap lines, by the way, is a meter box. I can change that grid size if I need to as well. There it is. It's currently 1 by 1, so or 1 meter by 1 meter. I can change that. But I'm going to keep it nice and simple for today. So let's say we're doing, maybe it's a student res or, hotel or something like that that has a corridor with a series of rooms of it. So I can see here my different dimensions, 5 meters, 30 odd meters. So I'm just going to change that to areas. So that's 150 meters, square meters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that up. So that's 75 and divide that up. So, maybe 2 or 3 bed apartments, don't quote me on that, whatever the minimum standards are for your region or your country. And what I can also do is I can, I suppose, classify each space. So when I click on a space, so that whole 60 square meter corridor is now highlighted. And you can see it says unassigned, so I'm going to call that corridor. And I'm going to click on this and call that unit. Click on this one, call that unit. So all I'm doing is just designating or classifying what type of space it is. And what you'll notice is to my tower block down here is that's dividing up. Now that's assuming that your floors repeat. It doesn't happen in every building, and the I suppose Forma allows for that as well. Every floor can be a different design. You may have commercial at the ground floor, and maybe a hotel with different types of floors happening with it. But in this case, for now, we'll just assume the corridors all line up. I'll show you how to change that. So that's, say, 4 rooms off that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a stair core. So I'm going to take off, maybe take off a stair core here. Stair core 18 square meters. I appreciate maybe bigger. I'm just doing it very kind of rudimentary stuff here. That's my core. That's my corridor. And then what I can even put in service cores shafts here. So I'm going to call that a service. I'm going to call that part of my core. And that the reason I classify this is because then in our metrics, the units won't be muddled in effectively in the core space, the corridor space, and all that, and then our calculations are more accurate. So you can even see the shading of grey is slightly different for those elements there as well. So I could even stretch that out if I wanted to add it on, if I needed to as well. I can change the size of this if I really needed to. So there's my core, my service core is part of that, and then what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to put another service core in there for those 2 apartments. Don't comment on my style of design, may not be entirely accurate, but what I'm going to show you is principally what you can do to suit your own design. So stair core, that's the core, that's in core as well, core, core, core. So I'm just putting all those in core, even if the stairs is, it's a different use space, but still it's non-occupiable space effectively. And the corridor then classify that differently because it allows us to classify in here. We can't add other items to this. It's just very straightforward, and that's because of the metrics we can pull out of it. So that's our floor plan. So very straightforward. So I'm going to come out of that. So there's our floor plan. And something else I can do with this building then is I can go, okay, well, I want to specify that this is all residential, for example. And I could go, okay, well, the ground floor is actually going to be commercial. So I can just take the ground floor and go, that's commercial. You see different color now applied. So, maybe you have offices or retail or cafes or something at the bottom. And I'm only going to take this floor plan. So just my ground floor plan. You can see here, it brings me to first floor. There's all of my other floors. So what I'm going to do here effectively is so these are not apartments. I'm going to delete almost everything. We're going to say that our service cores, we'll assume that they just go into the ceiling. So what I can do now is just trace around the outside of that building. So it's just an entirely open floor. Maybe you want to divide it up. You know, you might do something like that. There may be commercial access from both sides or something, depending on what you want to design. So I still classify them as units. Still classify those as units, even though one may be residential, the ones above are residential, the ones below are commercial. But that's just from a metrics point of view. So I have different floor plans just on that floor, and you can see that the dividing line is over here, whereas for the apartments it's up there. So what that means is when I come back out of here, so I've got my nice different colors apply to that, different type of floor plan, different type of floor plan on that. So, you know, let's say you want to come and do the same to a different block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pink block. Now I've called that a hotel, but what I'm actually going to call it, I'm going to change it back to residential space. Change that back to residential space, and I'm going to classify this one as I'm going to make that a hotel in the corner. So I've got a kind of mixed use schemes happening there. So floor plan hasn't been done, anything hasn't been done here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here for a second. I'm going to take that floor plan. I'm going to take that floor plan and I'm going to go add to library. So I'm just taking that generic floor plan, add to library. Now I'm going to come over here, I'm going to go into floor plan. So what you'll see is there's that floor plan from my library. I could rename this, by the way, as well. That's the floor plan that I added to library. So what I'm going to do here, I have a couple of different options. I can replace that floor plan. Now this block may not be the identical size to this, by the way. You know, maybe a meter shorter, longer, whatever the case. I can fill, I can stamp inside. So a couple of things happen here, and I'm going to run you through these. So if I want to replace this floor plan, I go to replace, take that floor plan, and then I just drop that in. It happens to be the same size, but even if it's not the same size, it still works. So if I replace that, you can see it reflects in that building. So that's done for you. You're taking it from the other building. So I'm going to undo that for a second. So that's replaced. That's that first tool. If I want to stamp something, so if I press stamp and choose my floor plan, so if I stamp something, so what it will do is it will stamp that floor plan, but it will offset it and retain any of the other geometry there as well. Now, that's not always practical, but what that means is if you have a different shaped building, you can stamp a building into it and see what space is left over. This is still, you know, different space I can use. Maybe my boundary is different here and I want to pull out that block and go, okay, where's our standard apartment sets or apartment layouts, for example. And there's my area numbers. All of this is generating metrics, by the way. Sorry, I should say that. So for a second, I'm just going to undo that. So I have a couple of different options there, and I can also stamp inside, and I can do something called fill as well. And I'll go through those in a moment. So I'm going to replace those. And let's say it's residential all the way. I'm going to come back. So you can see that's all residential all the way. So the metrics then that I mentioned, so if I click on this building, for example, click on that building, there's my metric, so my gross floor area. If I drop that down, and tells me what the residential is, what the commercial is. If I click on this, it's going to be different because our commercial is at our ground floor. If I click on this, it's hotel 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're all my different metrics from my different types of floor plan. But what I can do is, so I showed you the stamping tool and what was happening there. Now that was easy because this was the same size. But what if your floor plate is smaller, but you want a similar layout? So let's take this block, for example. It's short, sorry, this one in the middle. It's shorter than those apartments. And let's say we're going to stamp our apartments into that. So I'm going to take my floor plan, again, take my floor plan, come back into, so this is 12 by 19 odd meters. So what I can do is, if I replace it, it's going to be too wide. It's going to hit into the buildings at the side. But if I actually go to fill inside, so if I fill inside, for example, so what it's going to do is it's going to generate the same stair core, and you can see the outline of my building is shorter than the floor plan template that I have. So if I click that, it still fits it inside that geometry. Now you're floor plate might be smaller, but there you go, you're getting, maybe it's 1-bed apartments and studios, but the stair core, the corridor, and your service cores are all retained. So that's taken from a template of a floor plan effectively. So that's extremely powerful, as you can imagine, depending on what type of building, wherever there's repetitive type floors. And again, I mean, I can click off, I'll just deselect down to the first floor, and again, you know, maybe that is retail or reception area at the ground floor. I can come in and edit this again, delete the corridor. Maybe the stair core, service core there may stay the same, but the lobby area may be different, for example. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those, and I might class it. It's not a unit effectively. I mean, it could be reception area for a student res or a hotel, for example. So I'm just, for now, I'm just going to go unassigned. I could call it core or anything else. That's core, that's unassigned. Okay, so I'm going to come back out of that, and then make sure that it could be just ancillary space to the above units or the above use, whatever that is in apartments. So that's using that line, I suppose the line tool that we looked at in a basic building, or the floor plan tool, and editing the lines, for example. Now, let's say I want to do a different, you know, penthouse floor at the top, for example. I come in here, select that floor, go into floor plan, 12th floor, grand, and maybe this has a stepped back. Corridor may stay the same, and maybe it's stepped back for the purpose of a penthouse, for example. By, there we go, 2 meters, and this one may be the same. So I'm just going to delete. Oh, I can pull it down as well. Sorry, I could also do that. Pull it down by 2 meters. Yeah, maybe we're doing something. Yeah, service. Yeah, I'll leave the service core. Could be something like that. I'm going to assume not everything is a square building. Stair core, service core still there, and then we've got some sort of setback on either side as well. So again, obviously that's taken into account in your metrics as well. So it's not just a straightforward building that you have to design. Another way you can do that is I could come into this floor plate, for example. I could come in here and I could go I'll go into this floor plan. I'm just going to choose it in here, and which side my stair core is on the back. Okay, so I'm going to maybe put in some sort of balcony here. So I could put in some sort of balcony, and maybe that forms some sort of the floor plan, like so. So I'll just for now I'm going to leave it on that floor, so it's just on that floor. But maybe what I want to do is I'm going to swap out. Okay, I'm going to swap out that floor for. So I'm just going to. I need to add that. That's what I need to do. Add that to library. Add to library comes in there. It comes to the 4th floor, and then I'm going to replace that entirely. There we go. Floor plan. So that replaces that. So you could do that all the way up the building. So that's replaced it effectively. I could come into the 6th floor. So let's say I'm staggering these into the 6th floor. Replace that. Oh, sorry, a little bit offset. So there are other ways of replacing it, by the way. Replace that. Okay. 10th floor. Replace. 10th floor. That's fine. Yeah. Top floor steps back. So it's not just plain square geometry you have to work with inside Forma. You know, you can really manipulate the geometry to work differently for you as well. And just, I suppose, what other updates that have happened in this as well is the house tool as well. So similar, I can take a house generating tool. So I'm going to take a house generating tool and make sure that's a line building. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is just going to draw a row of houses along there and there. So you can see it's automatically making space for the next house to fit, depending if I turn or not. So I'm going to hit return on that. And what that's based on, if I click on that, that's based on these houses. And again, if I come in here and edit this, I can change different settings, even the roof if I want to. See, the roof has changed to it. I'll put a mono pitch on it just to be different. I can rotate them. I can change the width of them. Maybe they're 5 meters, depending on what you're building. Maybe they're 5 meters, length by 9 meters. Maybe I want to make them 12, for example. So then that's going to update all of that. So if I publish them, I'll make that all residential. residential, and then I can make them available in the project. So now they're available in the project, and that's one proposal. There's lots more in Autodesk Forma, by the way. What I just wanted to show you was the floor plan tool and that house tool, effectively, that allows you to generate housing, you know, the different floor levels, different designs as well. So there's lots more we can dive into as well. So thank you.